At 60 years old, the tragedy of Keanu Reeves is beyond heartbreaking. He is one of the most beloved men in Hollywood, admired for his humility, his generosity, and his timeless kindness. But behind that gentle smile, behind the quiet charm that fans have adored for decades, lies a story that is heavy with loss, pain, and unimaginable grief. This is not the story of a movie star. This is the story of a man who lost everything, yet somehow found the strength to remain kind. Part 1. The Lonely Beginning. Keanu Charles Reeves was born on September 2nd, 1964, in Beirut, Lebanon, a world away from the bright lights of Hollywood. His mother, Patricia Taylor, was an English costume designer. His father, Samuel Reeves, a geologist from Hawaii. But life was unstable from the very start. When Keanu was just 3 years old, his father walked out. Arrested for drug-related crimes, Samuel drifted out of his son's life, leaving behind only confusion and pain. Keanu would later describe that absence as a wound that never truly healed. His mother did her best, raising him and his younger sister Kim while constantly moving from one country to another: Lebanon, Australia, New York, and eventually Canada. Those early years were marked by instability. Each time Keanu began to make friends, they would move again. He struggled in school. Diagnosed with dyslexia, he found reading and writing difficult. He was bright but misunderstood, often quiet, often alone. Yet there was something gentle and curious about him, a kindness that even teachers noticed. Hockey became his first love. He was a gifted goalie known as the Wall. But his dream of going pro ended abruptly when he was injured. It was another loss, one of many to come. But there was one place Keanu found peace: the stage. Acting gave him freedom. In the characters he played, he could express what he couldn't say aloud. He could disappear into another world, far away from the pain of his own. Part 2. The Rise of a Star. In the 1980s, Keanu made his way to Hollywood. His early films, like River's Edge and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, showcased his unique charm, a mixture of innocence, sincerity, and quiet depth. He wasn't like other stars. There was something real about him. No ego, no arrogance, just an honest soul who wanted to create. By the 1990s, success came fast. Roles in Point Break, Speed, and The Matrix made him one of the biggest names in the world. But even as fame grew, Keanu remained humble. He didn't buy mansions, he didn't chase fame. He still rode public transportation, ate simple meals, and treated everyone around him, from directors to janitors, with the same respect. Behind the camera, however, his heart carried a growing weight. Part 3. A Friend Gone Too Soon. In 1993, tragedy struck for the first time in a way that would scar him forever. Keanu's best friend, River Phoenix, one of Hollywood's most talented young actors, died outside the Viper Room in Los Angeles. River was only 23. The two had shared an extraordinary bond, like brothers who understood each other's loneliness. They had big dreams: to make meaningful films, to stay kind in an industry that could easily corrupt. When Reaver died from a drug overdose, Keanu was devastated. He didn't speak publicly about it, but those close to him saw the change. He grew quieter, more introspective. He stopped seeking the spotlight and began valuing solitude. Friends said that after Reaver's death, a part of Keanu's joy. Part 4. Love and Loss. Then, just a few years later, Keanu met Jennifer Syme. She was a production assistant and actress, gentle, sweet, and full of light. Their connection was instant and deep. For the first time in a long time, Keanu felt peace. He felt love. In 1999, the couple learned they were expecting a child, a baby girl. They named her Ava Archer Syme Reeves. Keanu was ecstatic. He wanted to be the kind of father he never had. But fate had other plans. In December 1999, only weeks before her due date, their daughter was stillborn. The heartbreak was unimaginable. Keanu was shattered. Jennifer fell into depression. Though they tried to support each other, the pain was too much. They separated, but the love between them remained. Then, in April 2001, tragedy struck again. Jennifer Syme was killed in a car crash in Los Angeles. She was only 28 years old. Within 2 years, Keanu had lost both his child and the woman he loved. He never spoke much about it, but his silence said everything. He once admitted, "Grief changes shape, but it never goes away." Those words have echoed ever since, a glimpse into the depth of his heartbreak. Part 5. Carrying the Weight of Grief. After Jennifer's death, Keanu withdrew from Hollywood. He disappeared from public events, avoided interviews, and lived quietly, away from the world that had taken so much from him. While others chased luxury, he sought peace. He spent time riding his motorcycle through the hills, reading poetry, and reflecting on life. For years, he avoided relationships, saying he didn't feel capable of giving love the way he once could. And yet, despite all the loss, Keanu never let his grief turn to bitterness. Instead, he turned it into compassion. Part 6. A Heart That Gives. Throughout the 2000s and beyond, stories began to surface about Keanu's quiet generosity. He reportedly gave away tens of millions of dollars from his Matrix earnings to the crew and special effects teams, saying they deserved it more. He helped fund hospitals and cancer research, often anonymously. When asked about it, he simply said, "Money doesn't mean anything to me. I've made enough to live comfortably. What's important is sharing it with others." He supported his sister Kim through her long battle with leukemia, caring for her for years and ensuring she had everything she needed. He never boasted, never sought credit. He just helped, quietly. Even in public, Keanu's humility was extraordinary. He gave up his subway seat to strangers. He sat with homeless people on the street and shared food. When fans approached him, he never acted like a celebrity, just another person grateful for kindness. It wasn't an act, it was who he was. Perhaps because he knew better than anyone how fragile life can be. Part 7. The Pain Behind John Wick. When Keanu returned to major stardom in 2014 with John Wick, fans saw him differently. The story of a man who loses everything, his wife, his dog, his peace, felt eerily familiar. Keanu admitted he could relate to John Wick's pain. The role became almost personal, a man haunted by grief but still fighting to move forward. The intensity, the emotion behind his eyes, it wasn't just acting, it was real. The John Wick series reignited his career, but it also deepened the connection fans felt with him. Because behind every scene, they saw the man, the one who had suffered loss after loss and yet still carried himself with grace. Part 8. Solitude and Strength. In interviews, Keanu rarely talks about his pain, but when he does, his words carry immense weight. He once said, I don't think you ever stop grieving. You just learn to live with it. He's often seen sitting alone on a park bench, drinking coffee quietly, an image that went viral years ago and earned him the nickname Sad Keanu. But the truth is, that photo didn't capture sadness. It captured reflection. A man who has accepted the silence that comes with loss. He still avoids the glitz of Hollywood. No private jets, no expensive lifestyle. He rides his motorcycle through the streets of LA, greeting strangers, enjoying the simple freedom of the open road. He once said, "I'm a pretty private person, but I love being alive." And that's the beauty of Keanu Reeves. He's found meaning not in fame, but in simplicity. Part 9. The Man Behind the Myth. To this day, Keanu remains one of the most respected and loved figures in entertainment, not because of his fame, but because of his humanity. Directors praise his discipline. Co-stars call him a gentle soul. Fans call him the internet's boyfriend. But those who know his story understand the deeper reason for the world's affection. Keanu Reeves embodies what it means to suffer deeply and still choose kindness. He once said, "The simple act of paying attention can take you a long way." That's who he is, a man who listens, observes, and understands. In an industry obsessed with attention, Keanu's gift is humility. Part 10. Legacy of Light Through Darkness. At 60 years old, Keanu Reeves continues to work, to give, and to inspire. He may have lost his family, his best friends, and countless opportunities for happiness, but in their place, he's found purpose. He uses his pain to connect with others, his grief to deepen his compassion, and his silence to remind the world that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. For millions, Keanu is not just an actor. He's a symbol of resilience, of gentleness, and of surviving the impossible. His life teaches us that tragedy doesn't define who we are, our response to it does. And even when everything is taken from us, we still have a choice to remain kind, to remain human,